Tomorrow night, the eccentrically convoluted All Blacks season reboots itself. Having played 3 games against Wales in June, they now begin the Investec Rugby Championship. Australia, South Africa, Argentina and New Zealand. Game 1 is in Sydney tomorrow against the Wallabies, also for the Bledisloe Cup. The last time the All Blacks and Australia played each other was the World Cup final last year. Since then, the All Blacks have beaten Wales 3 times. Australia have lost to England 3 times. So in the preamble to tomorrow night's match, there's been an enormous amount of nonsense spoken about who the pressure is on more, the All Blacks because they haven't lost a game since this fixture last year, or the Wallabies because they desperately need to start winning. I discussed this with the Sydney Morning Herald's excellent rugby writer Georgina Robinson.
Yeah, the preamble's been pretty good, but look, we've just hosted Eddie Jones in England, 2 months ago. So, I mean, Steve Hansen and Michael Cheika kind of, half-heartedly going at it. It's been nothing compared to the sideshow we watched in England, to be quite honest. And I actually think Steve Hansen, he got a bit tired of it yesterday here in Sydney, and he just said, look, in all honesty, folks, we wouldn't have the win record we have if we didn't respect the opposition. And I actually think that was probably, the truest thing spoken in the entire week of jockeying. That there's no lack of respect. The only reason we're as good as we are is because we take every single team we play deadly seriously.
That fixture last year in Sydney, where Australia really beat the All Blacks pretty comfortably, is going to be playing in the minds of both teams, isn't it?
I don't think it'll be playing in the minds of the Wallabies, to be honest. I don't think one victory, in one battle, means anything to these Wallabies. I think what people do actually recognise is that every time the All Blacks have come over here, and I think the All Blacks themselves recognise this, in this first Sydney test, I'm not sure what it is, but occasionally it looks like they can be caught. Maybe they're just kind of winding up for a pretty gruelling season ahead. But teams can sort of get them, and I think that's why the Wallabies, got very close once, won once, and I actually think the All Blacks know a couple of things. They know they've lost a lot of their once-in-a-generation players.
Yep.
And they have to form a new leadership group and really enable those guys to lead. And they also know that that's happened before. So what have they done? They've changed their hotel, they've changed their location, they've changed their training ground. They're here for a week, not a few days. And I think that's a real recognition of the fact that, occasionally when we come over to Sydney, maybe we're just a bit slow off the mark, and it won't happen again.
Georgina, can we talk about the bigger picture? And I'm asking this question as one rugby fan to another, but there's real pressure on rugby in Australia, isn't there? Because they need crowds and they need television audiences. And in Australia, to get crowds and television audiences, you have to win. So at what stage is the public going to get exasperated with a Wallaby side that has enormous potential that it's not fulfilling? And at what stage is that kind of damage starting to become irreparable? Yeah,
it's Australian rugby, has a bit of a boom-bust cycle that I think, every administrator and every coach is desperate to wean them off. From a corporate standpoint, I think there is still a glow from the World Cup performance. That was a really stunning sort of overachievement by the Wallabies, in some regards. They had a very new coach and, they went all the way to a World Cup final with some amazing performances along the way that showcased a lot of different skills. Now, the England series, was a massive come down, but I do think that no matter what happens on Saturday, no matter what happens, actually, for most of the rest of the season, there will be a lot of questions asked if the season doesn't go well. But at no point will people wonder if Michael Cheika is the right coach. I think that people recognise we have the best coach, and so he needs the time to really pull the high performance program up to standard. Something the New Zealanders got right many years ago, and he just needs the right support, and then he needs time, and probably a World Cup cycle. And I think for once, Australians are brutal. We kind of eat our own. We've disposed of a number of coaches over the years. We disposed of Eddie Jones, and look what he's done for England and is doing for England. So I think actually this might be the one point where we might actually, go the distance with someone and stick with them.
Georgina Robinson, the game's in Sydney tomorrow night.